Hello everyone, welcome to eHave Indonesia 2020 Goes Online. My name is Haris and I'm going to be moderating this webinar. This webinar is going to be presented by Ms. Lian from Maastricht University. Please stay tuned until the end of this webinar because we will hold a question and answer session. If you have any questions related to the presentations or country's higher education, please kindly submit your questions in YouTube comment section anytime throughout the presentation. Now, without any further ado, we would like to have Ms. Lian from Maastricht University. Time is yours.
Thank you, Harris. So nice to meet you, everyone. Let me get my presentation on here. All right, so. This is a beautiful view of Maastricht, and that's the city and the university that I will be talking about today. My name is Lian. I am the China and Southeast Asia region relations officer. So I do marketing and recruitment for East and Southeast Asia at Maastricht University. So why Maastricht University? Let me first give you an impression of our city. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the Netherlands, so you can first enjoy a few nice photos. This is our main university building. Outside of the pandemic, I would normally be working here, and also lots of students visit it regularly, of course. This is the river that our city is named after, the Maas. It runs through the city right to the middle, and there's many different bridges, old and new, crossing it. So you'll be seeing this river regularly if you study here. This is near the Vrijthof, one of the many squares that we have in Maastricht. You see a few churches here as well. There's lots of churches. Maastricht is a very old city. There's lots of history. And when the weather is nice, it's a great place near the church squares to hang out, discuss things with your friends and fellow students. So that's happening a lot as well. Here you see a student crossing one of the bridges of Maastricht, and he's doing it by the way that's most common in the Netherlands, which is of course by bike. Maastricht is a very compact city compared to some of the bigger cities in the west of the Netherlands. So you can also walk everywhere, but the Dutch people also still like biking around as well. And this is one of our university buildings. This is a building from the School of Business and Economics. And because, as I mentioned, Maastricht is such an old city, lots of our faculty buildings have a long history. They have had multiple functions, either as former courts or some are even former houses. So it's a very nice atmosphere to study in. So let's give you some further details about our university. So we call ourselves the most international university of the Netherlands, and we are very proud of that, of course, because we have a very international student population. We're also the youngest university in the Netherlands. And if you look at rankings, we consistently rank high in lists from Times Higher Education. We are currently ranked 6th there, and also several of our schools and faculties also rank highly. And lastly, a very important thing about our university is that we are a founder and pioneer of problem-based learning. And that might not tell you anything at this moment, but I'll tell you a lot more about it later. So don't worry if you don't recognize this immediately. So the most international university in the Netherlands, we're proud of that. And we also believe it's a very important thing in this globalized world with all these international issues that's currently important. And that's why we're very happy that so many of our students and of our staff are coming from abroad. we do have a large population of European students, so Germany and Italy and Belgium, but I'd say that the Asian students take up a large part of the non-EU students. And I'd say Indonesia is one of the bigger groups from Southeast Asia as well at the university. So you'll be able to make lots of friends from different backgrounds and also meet some of your own country. And there's also lots of opportunities to broaden your horizons in different ways. You can do an internship either in the Netherlands or go abroad for your internship again as well. You are able to study abroad. We've got many exchange partners all over the world for different programs. And yeah, we are, I'll show you in a minute where we are located, because then you'll understand why we feel that students are able to really get an international perspective at our university. And of course, important for most students coming from outside of the EU, although some of you may be able to speak a little bit of Dutch, but no worries, almost all of our bachelor programs are fully in English. So you're welcome to learn Dutch, but it's not necessary at all. So let me show you a bit where we are located. We are located in the far southeast of the Netherlands. The province is called Limburg, and Maastricht is the capital city. So it's also the biggest city of the province, and because it's the only city within the province that has a university, we have different campuses. We've got a campus in Brussels, and we also have a campus in Venlo. But that means that we attract lots of students, and because we are very close to Belgium and Germany, we also attract lots of international business. There's always lots of expats. You'll hear a lot of French and German and English while you are walking around the city. And as you can see, topographically, we are closer to Brussels than to Amsterdam. It's, of course, all very easily reachable by train. And these days, there's a little bit less going abroad because of the current situation. But once everything will be a bit more stable again, Maastricht is the perfect place to also go to Southern Europe, go to France, go to Italy, or even to East Europe. That's why we say we're located at the heart of Europe, and we are the gateway to Europe as well. And this means that in many programs, we also collaborate with institutes that are located in Belgium or in Germany. So you will definitely be able to look at issues from different perspectives and from different angles. So I mentioned this also. This learning environment at Maastricht University is definitely designed to be very stimulating. I'll talk a little bit more about problem-based learning in a minute, but know that it's a very student-centered learning method which propagates small groups of students as opposed to to most other universities where you will be following a more lecture-based program. We have an international classroom setting. We've got many different nationalities, many different backgrounds, and we actively encourage our students, of course, to exchange and to communicate and to talk to each other on these differences. So in addition to the problem-based learning tutorials, as they are called, you will also get skills training depending on your program. So for medicine, you often have skills training about learning how to do stitches or how to handle certain conversations with patients. For economics, it may be about writing, and for law, it could be about presenting yourself and your case in court. So it's all very practically minded. And in addition, you always can look for opportunities to do an exchange, study abroad, do an internship, or follow on an honors program if you want to delve a little bit further into your studies. So what makes PBL so special and so different? As I often say, PBL basically bridges the theory with the practical world. So in PBL, you get a you get case studies that relate directly to your study program. So, for example, European public health, there has been this case study of a sickness that suddenly arose in Belgium, and then people in Aachen, and which is in Germany, and also people in Maastricht, which are all very close cities, suddenly also get this disease. So there needs to be communication between the hospitals. There needs to be communication between the governments on how to handle it. There needs to be seen how it needs to be told to the public, or if certain measures need to be taken. So you can see that one case study involves many different aspects. And PBL gives you, on the one hand, the freedom to explore the path that you find most interesting, but at the same time, you also need to collaborate with fellow students, or you may work in a small team, and you always have a tutor. So there's definitely some guidance, and there's definitely a certain depth in the research that's required, of course. But you will be able to think critically how to solve issues and how to solve problems. So you'll gain independency and also feel more comfortable with public speaking and to talk about your own ideas and about your own views. So this is, of course, different from just listening to a lecture and having to memorize lots of theory. Instead, you actively look for knowledge or search for certain aspects that you find most important. And then you can actively discuss it with your fellow classmates and your tutor to see what they think about it and if it makes sense and what that would mean for the case study at hand. And it, of course, also helps you in your further career, because in many jobs, you'll get presented with a certain issue or certain project, and then you'll just have to start on it yourself. There won't necessarily be a certain direction to go into. So not only is PBL a very interesting way to actively learn your and to actively get knowledge while studying, but it also helps you adapt for a career after you finish your studies. So this is an example of a weekly schedule. So you still have some lectures, of course, because there's always going to be some theory that needs to be disseminated. But as you see, it's mainly tutorials in small groups. It used to be max 15 before the pandemic, and it's going even lower currently because we do have a hybrid system. So students will still have some offline courses as well as online courses, depending, of course, on the size of the classes and on the amount of students in a certain class. So yeah, and you see, of course, that there's also lots of time that you can schedule yourself for readings, but also for lunch or to hang out with friends. So this is generally how a week could look like, depending, of course, on the program you follow. And let's look a little bit at the city itself. So this is our campus, and it's not a closed off part of the city. We're right in the middle of the city, and it's fully open. You will be studying just among the other buildings in the city, and you really get a feeling for the local atmosphere and the city itself. You can see that some of our faculty, but generally everything is very easily reachable, either by bike or public transportation. And even walking, you may have to walk at most 20 to 25 minutes. But yeah, you can also always take a bus, and then you'll be anywhere within like 10 or 15 minutes. So that makes for a very nice experience as well, because you also get to experience a bit the local life instead of just being on a campus abroad. So here we have the overview of all of our English programs. So these programs are all fully in English. And you don't need to learn any Dutch, except for the international track in medicine, where you will have to learn Dutch after your third year because you need to connect to Dutch patients. But all these other programs are fully in Dutch, fully in English. And yeah, we will have another bachelor open day at the beginning of next year, but I'll leave my contact details, of course, as well. And there's also room here to ask questions if you want to about certain programs. Be sure to also look on our website, because many of our faculties regularly organize experience days or have opportunities to connect with students of these different study programs. So if you are interested in a specific program, be sure to check it out on our website as well. So these are, this is a general admission requirement slide. So please check again the program that you want to study, because there may be more or less requirements depending on the program. But in general, either successful completion of one of the first year of a bachelor's program or the above diploma should make you admissible to almost all of our English programs, as I mentioned, as shown on the previous slide. All of the requirements are stated on our website for each program. So just look closely which programs mention which requirements. And if a certain subject or a certain test is not stated on the website, then it's not needed. So yeah, so if you don't see it specifically, it's not needed. If you are unsure about certain qualifications or certain tests that you need to do, you can always contact us and ask our admission officers for more details about that. And I mentioned the binding study advice as well here, although there will be some changes on that. But in general, most study programs currently still have the requirement that you get a certain amount of ECTS, at least 30, and oftentimes there can be certain classes involved to get your binding study advice, which means that you can continue your studies. If you don't get your binding study advice, you are required to quit your studies and cannot apply again for a couple of years. So keep that in mind. If you are a bit unsure about your program, just reach out to us and let us know any of your questions, because we wouldn't want you to quit your studies early. So these are a few of our more selective programs and numerous fixes. So it means that there's a limited amount of students that are admitted to these programs every year. For these programs, there's a more selective procedure. It includes an interview beforehand. It may include a certain matching procedure where you are matched based on your profile to the study program, and depending how well they think you will be a fit. So these include a few business and business economics programs at our School of Business Economics. And they also include a few of the liberal arts and sciences degrees. So that's the Maastricht Science Program, the University College Maastricht, and the University College Venlo. Liberal arts and sciences means that you are able to make your own curriculum. So Maastricht Science Program is focused generally on all the natural sciences, from biology to physics to chemistry. The University College Maastricht is focused more on social sciences and humanities, so also including law and also including economics. And then the University College Venlo is focused on food, innovation, and health. But within those topics, you can make your own curriculum. And then the numerous fixes programs are, as mentioned here, medicine, psychology, and international business. So keep these deadlines also in mind when you're applying, and that the application procedure will take longer for these programs than for programs that have a less strict procedure. So I'm mentioning a few of our master's programs here as well. This is just a general impression of what we have, and be sure to check out our website. We will have a master's open day at the beginning of next year as well. And again, all of these masters are in English. They generally take 1 year. A research master will take 2 years. And yeah, just let us know if you have any certain questions about our master programs. So here I specify a little bit more the bachelor master structure. So after you finish a bachelor, which takes 3 years here, it's your own choice whether you want to continue with a master, a research master, or just enter the labor market. And if you want to do a PhD, you always need to do a research master. And research master takes 2 years instead of 1 year. This is what the academic year roughly looks like. So the course periods, exam periods, although they change, of course, per program, different vacations that you will have, and when there will be resits. And here it is in a bit more detail. So instead of just having 2 semesters, we also divide it further into different periods. And oftentimes after each period, you will have some exams as well. And this means that you don't need to wait until the end of the semester to study all of your study all of your classes at once, but it's divided throughout the year. So this also makes it easier in a certain way to retain your knowledge and to use it actively instead of just learning it and then only having the exam a few months later. So if you don't qualify directly for one of our programs, we have a solution for that as well, and it's called the Foundation Program. So this is for motivated international students to train them for a bachelor's program at our university. It's an in-house program. You will already be in the city in Maastricht. You will be following classes in university buildings. So you are already fully integrated in our city as well as in our university. It's a 1-year full-time program, and the Foundation Program can prepare you for basically all of the bachelor programs we have. You will choose your bachelor program that you want to go enter into before you start the Foundation Program, because the Foundation Program itself is also catered towards certain bachelor programs. So that ensures that we have such a high placement rate, which is currently 100% amongst students who pass our program. So that's something that we really pay attention to. And the program fee, I will go into the program fee for the other programs a little in the next slide. But for the Foundation Program, they are 14,000 for the year, or 12,000 if you can. If you don't have to take the English classes, which is mentioned here as an IELTS 7.5, or if you're a native speaker. And again, the Foundation Program has students coming from all 5 continents, from many different countries, so you will also have the international classroom environment already. So these are the tuition fees for our other study programs. So this is a yearly tuition fee. For Indonesian students, the institutional fees non-EU are applicable. So most bachelor's programs fall into the 8,000 euros category. Most of some of our more selective programs fall into a different tier of 10,900, and this is because the classes are smaller. There's even more room and opportunity for further personalization per student. So the output is a bit higher. That's why the costs are a bit higher as well. And then for medicine, it's mentioned below, different fees again. So that's also a little bit different still. Then here's a non-exhaustive list of scholarships that are available. For bachelor, these are a bit more limited than for master. And in general, you can always ask us for scholarship options. We state on our website, but you can also look at the NAFIC NESO. I believe they all have already had a presentation here, but they are also at the EHAF. So do check with them as well for more scholarship options. Then a bit more practical things. Since I mentioned we don't have a campus, there's no general dorms either. So for housing, you can make use of university housing. We have the so-called guest house, where you can stay. And there's a university rental website for that as well. But many students choose to find a shared flat or studio themselves. I'd say shared flats are the most common because studios tend to be a bit more expensive in comparison. A shared flat can be shared with as little as 2 people to, I think normally the max is around 6 or 7 people. And yeah, depending on the size of your room, it can cost somewhere between 350 to 550, I'd say. And you can always look for them through Facebook groups. You can also look at commercial rental agencies. But generally, if you start during the summer, so our academic year starts in September. If you start looking around July, then you will be able to pretty easily find a room. And it's very nice living together with other students, get to know some people, cook your own foods, and just have a nice atmosphere when you get home as well. So this is a very rough estimation of the living costs, and I'd say that it's a bit high in comparison. I don't think you'll be spending that much on study materials per month. Leisure and sports also doesn't have to be that expensive. So I'd say general, if your room costs between 350 to 550, if you live reasonably and don't go out too much for food, then I think your monthly fee should be around 200 to 300 euros. So that would make the total around 600 to 800 euros instead of the above 950. So just keep that in mind. And then anything else related to student life or student services, you can always go to our Student Services Center for that. They also provide pre-academic training, which takes place in the summer. We always have an introduction week. We had one this year as well. It was hybrid with activities taking place online and offline. So no matter what happens, it'll still take place. There's many different student organizations, also different sports organizations for students to join. So whether you like theater or you like football, you will have the opportunity to find like-minded people and hang out together doing what you like. And if you have any question, no matter if it's related to internships or language courses you like to follow, or if you have any issues in other issues, then you can always go to our Student Services Center for student counseling and other services. And for those who want to get some more practical experience, there is the opportunity to also get a part-time job. You can either get a part-time job at the university as a so-called student assistant, or you can work in a local establishment like a cafe or store. And since it's a very international environment, there's often no need for you to speak Dutch. So this is a map of the facilities we have and where they are located. So most of them are located in the center as well. And a few others are located a bit more southeast. We have 2 libraries, as you can see. There's a sports center as well. So be sure to check it out if you're interested to see what our campus looks like. And here's a sneak peek of our library. So the left library is the one in the southeast near the Faculty of Health, Medicine and Life Sciences. And the library to the right is the one in the city center. So there's lots of space, even in these times, for you to go to the library to study if you want to leave your room for minutes. And besides our online activities or participation in these kinds of activities, there's also our virtual open day, which gives you the opportunity at any time of the day to look at different study programs and get some more information about student life, about any financial questions. So be sure to check that out as well. All our study programs are on there, and it's fully in English, so you'll be able to learn a bit more there as well. And then lastly, these are our general contact details. So Any specific programs or admissions questions, please send them to study at Maastricht University, because they will be, because they are admissions officers, will be able to provide you with more detailed questions. But if you have a general question about coming from Indonesia to the Netherlands, or other questions not specifically related to admissions, you are welcome to contact our country team for Southeast Asia as well, where and I can also see the emails coming in there. And be sure to follow us on social media as well. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's also YouTube. We regularly have YouTube live sessions. There will be one on admissions tomorrow evening, and maybe a little bit late in Indonesia. But if you have any specific admissions questions, be sure to check that out. And otherwise, you can always look it back on YouTube. And that's it for now. But I'm of course happy to answer any questions that you may all still have. So thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive explanation about Maastricht University, Ms. Lian. Now we move on to question and answer session. We have several questions for you. Number one is related to the application. Is there any application fee for those who apply for the university? If there is there any possibilities for waiver the fee?
Yes, I actually know that there is indeed a handling fee, and I think it depends indeed on the admissions procedure if you're able to waive it. I can actually look directly. I will stop my screen share for a moment then, and I will directly view the information that I know I've seen. Because I think it depends on the program as well as on your final acceptance into that program. I'll put some more. Is it convenient if I put information in the chat, or where should I, if I have any links, can I put them anywhere?
Yeah, sure. If you would like to put the links, you can put it in the message, and then I will try to write it on YouTube comments.
Yes, okay. Yes, I've got the link here. So yes, there's a handling fee at the start of the application process. It's 100 euros. And there can be exemptions for our handling fee as well. So I'll just put the link in here so everybody can check it out directly.
Oh, thank you very much. So next questions will be, okay, so I took my undergraduate with English as the main language. The university and language that I use are also listed in World Higher Education database. Therefore, can I be exempted from taking IELTS when I apply for Maastricht University?
It depends a bit on the program that you want to study, because there will be different requirements for English at different programs. But in general, I think if you have a diploma, a certificate, enough proof of your English, then there is probably the possibility for an exemption. But please check your specific program, because they always, I think most of the programs in the admission requirements, they will state a sort of little questionnaire, and they will ask you, like, do you have you followed the program fully in English? Okay, then you are able to be exempt of the test. Have you had a test before, or what? Or have you a certain experience? So please look at that as well. But I will provide a more general link where you can check what would be required as the tests. So yeah, there's definitely, again, options to be exempt, but they differ per program. So feel free
maybe
to also
share the link on the screen so the participant can see the link.
Yes, sure. I will also put it again in the chat, but I can still do that here as well, because I think most of the Most of the things mentioned here, let me see if I can find something directly related to the English. I think a lot of our documents focus more on additional subjects like physics or biology that you may need. So if the student if this person has a specific program they want to look at, just look directly at the program admission and requirements because they have the details. And if it is a certain program, I can also show it here on the screen, but the general is a bit more broad, so it won't have all the specifics required. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Next questions. Can somebody apply directly without going to study link?
No, no. Yeah, we use. Yes. So I just sent the link as well, but I can share it very quickly. Just the here you can see the admission requirements, and here you can see how the whole process goes for applying for a bachelor's program. And you can see that it's necessary to register via StudyLink. I don't think there's any Dutch higher education institute in the Netherlands, unless it's perhaps a certain private institute that doesn't require StudyLink because it's a general government mandated step within our application process. But as you can see here, we mention the specific steps, and again on the different bachelor programs, it will also mention the specific steps needed for you to be admissible.
So basically everything is provided on maastrichtuniversity.nl, right? On the website of the university.
Definitely. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And let me see, I probably can show you below here. We have our live webinar tomorrow regarding the admissions here, the ultimate roadmap. So
right.
Students
so everyone
are
is free to come.
Exactly. It's a live stream. I think it's a bit late comparatively in Indonesia, but if you don't make it this time, you can watch it back on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And yeah,
here and I think we also have a virtual fair on Friday and Saturday.
Exactly.
So participants can also join and also ask if there is any further question regarding how to join Maastricht University or how to get the admission, how to handle the fee or scholarship and everything. So if you still have any questions, please visit our virtual fair on Friday and Saturday.
Definitely, yes.
Next question. Okay, so fortunately, I have been accepted by a professor at Maastricht University for doing PhD. How big is the opportunity to be how big is my opportunity to be officially and institutionally accepted?
Okay, so yeah, so our PhD programs are, of course, a bit different from the bachelor and master programs. It depends a little bit more on the internal, I'd say it depends a bit more on the funding or the internal budgets. And also depends on your faculty because for PhD programs, I'm more involved in China with the Chinese PhD programs because we have a direct scholarship program there. Of course, if you have your own funding and if your professor has accepted your research proposal and you are ready to start, then I think in general it should be there shouldn't be any hitches, any problems. But of course, if you need to extend your PhD or if your research isn't totally on schedule, that's when things can sometimes start to be a bit more difficult. So please keep that in mind if you're starting your PhD. For our other PhD, if you're self-funded, that's of course also a different option. You mentioned you already have a professor. So in general, if a professor is interested in you and if there's the budget or the opportunity to start the research from that faculty, and I'd say in general, our faculties of probably the more exact sciences have a bit more budget than the social sciences or humanities faculties. So in general, I'd say if your professor already accepted the proposal, if you are already, if the funding is already arranged for, then there shouldn't be any problems. But yeah, if there's like certain things with like the duration or the funding or any other questions that still remain, then you should check it with your professor, and your professor should check within the faculty, with the research dean, or within the research group how it's being arranged and if everything is okay for you to start. So that's the general information I can give you right now. And I'd advise you to just keep in close contact with the professor and let him or her reach out internally sufficiently so you have the information on time if you are going to start.
All right, thank you for the explanations. Okay, to all webinar participants, we do understand many of you maybe still have questions, but unfortunately our time is quite limited. But do not worry, you can still visit us on our virtual fair on Friday and Saturday. Please visit event.ehf.id so you can have further talk and also further information about Maastricht University and other university that you are interested to join in the next intake. So, Ms. Lian, thank you very much for your time and also for your presentations. We really appreciate that. And we do hope to meet you again soon, and we expect pandemics will be over soon. So everything's going back to normal. We can study again, we can travel again, and take care there. Thank you very much, and
yes.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and hopefully see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.